Well, today I'm sitting with Mayowa, Lady May. Today is my day. It's a podcast meant to learn myself a lot of things about personal branding and business identity. I feel we are in an era where founders need to understand it most, and me, I really need it. So, thank you so much for taking out time, Mayowa, and coming on business banking and beyond. Well, I'm excited to know everything related to it. But first, I will hold on my goosebump and ask you about your story first. How did you start it and what were you doing from Nigeria till UAE?
Great. So at least you already know about the Nigeria part. My name is Mayowa Adegoke. I'm an international journalist. I'm a personal branding coach, and I wear a few other hats. So don't be surprised if you see me doing something else around, outside of those two. My story, especially as it pertains to my life in Dubai, really is me leaving my TV job in Nigeria, working with the top TV organization in Nigeria, and moving to Dubai for love because my husband was here already and, he proposed. I said yes. Who's going to move? And I chose to move to Dubai. Fresh start. But here's where it gets quite exciting. You're going to leave everything that you've built back in Nigeria. So I was going to leave everything that I'd built back in Nigeria and come to Dubai where I was kind of like a nobody, right? Essentially moving to start afresh. And that's how I discovered personal branding. And that, just coupled with a bunch of things, and of course, primarily God's grace, I've been able to build a brand that's far bigger than what I had in Nigeria in 5.5 years.
Kudos for that. And I'm sure you can so humbly say that you came here and started as a scratch, but there is lot of learnings which we have across and a brand which you had built in Nigeria. If you can discuss little bit more about your Nigerian, what exactly you were doing and your 12 years of experience and learning as a TV representative.
Great. So TV has always been my childhood dream. My father was a journalist and maybe that played a role. I don't know. But TV was always my dream, particularly the TV station that I work with, Channels TV. I grew up watching this TV station, I remember days of running home from primary school with my younger brother, trying to catch cartoons on this TV. So that was my dream. And then, of course, just grew up, went to university, studied mass communication, which I felt was just more me, more natural to me. Law was an option, and I think I'd have been a kick-ass lawyer. Well, law is just too serious. I'm like, listen, I just want to relax. I don't want to be too serious. I'm a serious person, by the way. Just say, but law was like, too stiff. Communication felt more natural. Like, when they say, do what you love and you never have a job a day in your life, you never work if you're doing what you love. I had a heart for everything communication, people. And so I chose that. Skip, a couple of years, I'm finally working with this TV station and I'm on TV. Started as a web editor, blogger, and then ended up presenting the entertainment show. That show became daily eventually, and that show grew, interviewing celebrities from you name it. Nigeria, even celebrities from America who would come to Nigeria, would get opportunity to interview them. So I was meeting people. Eventually, I became a newscaster, so I was casting the news, and that's a different, entertainment and hardcore news are two different things. And there, I'm interviewing like vice president, governors, and commissioners, and the power
on the TV.
Yeah, and the power shakers, and again, I'm living my TV dream. And then comes along another dream of, marriage. So that unlocked another chapter because eventually moving to Dubai, I then got an opportunity to be the international correspondent for the organization. So I'm leaving, Nigeria, I'm coming to Dubai and I'm like, you know what? There's an opportunity in Dubai. You don't really have African media representation. here. And a lot, and I'm talking about 2018, 2019, it's like a lot was going on, even between Nigeria and UAE. Events, business talks, a lot. And I said, where's the media capturing all of this? And in this world, sometimes it feels like if it's not captured on media, it never happened. And as a passionate media professional, I'm like, these are stories. This is, who's capturing all, anyway. So I proposed to the organization, hey, I'm getting married, I'm moving to Dubai, but I think I can work from Dubai. And they saw value in that. They saw value in me and said yes. So I moved to Dubai and then just started my life as a married woman. Also working as a...
If that company has to say to someone, why did we start Dubai? It would be marriage of Mayowa.
Something like that.
Well, that's great to hear. I would not say leaving, continuing your legacy from your hometown till international borders in Dubai. It was already international, but going out of Nigeria and coming to Dubai and continuing this legacy is truly exceptional. Now we'll move on to the most important aspect. Today's podcast is all about branding and business identity. So how did you stumble upon personal branding and started your career with that?
So leaving Nigeria, where I was known, again, in Nigeria, I could go into any place. People knew me. They see me on TV all the time. I engage with, celebrities, newsmakers. So I had that in Nigeria. But you move to Dubai, it's a very different ballgame. Flip to Nigeria, if there's anything I want to do, everything is one phone call away. I need to have a connection in some place. I need somebody's contact, one phone call away. And that's a level of access or influence that you have. But in Dubai, where I'm just starting afresh, nobody knows Channels TV. Now they know. It's okay, thanks to me. But at the time, it's like, who are you again and where are you from? Because Dubai is rich in people, rich in culture, rich in wealth, rich in everything. So you know how there's this joke about people come to Dubai and say, oh, I am they're just trying to be somebody. Everybody's somebody in Dubai. Yeah. But in actual fact, in Dubai, yes, I'm looking to scale my career, move it to the next level. I'm not trying to fizzle away. I really want to make a name for myself. And I realized, listen, you have to build a name for yourself, right? So go back to me working as an international correspondent. As a journalist, what are two main things you need to do your work? You need access.
Correct. As a journalist, you
need access. If, the Sheikh is doing something, you're a journalist, they're calling you, hey, we heard the Sheikh is doing something. Are you going to get that story for us? I'm like, how am I going to get to the Sheikh? You need access. You need people as well, not just to know them, but for them to know you. And that's where I realized, okay, I need to build my brand. That's how it started. So having to build myself, having to build my reputation again in Dubai. Yeah, we know that you're all that in Nigeria, but here, it's a level playing ground. What have you done here? Who are you here? And that's how my journey started. So for me, it wasn't like I went for some course or had a coach. When I talk about personal branding, I'm telling you that I have lived it. And the results that you see are from the strategies, the lessons, the inspirations that I first used for myself.
And we are here to discuss that. So let's start from the first thing which you did when it comes to starting building your personal brand. What was that first thing and then how did it followed upon?
I think the first thing is understanding what you have. Before you approach people, before you start knocking on doors, before you start pitching, before you put together a beautiful one-page profile about yourself, who are you? What do you want? Who do you serve? What are you trying to accomplish? What value can you give people? You need to properly articulate it because that becomes the foundation of the brand you want to build. If you're trying to serve presidents, how you approach a president is very different from how you approach a businessman, for instance. Everyone's looking for value. The value that the president wants is very different from the value that maybe you want. So you need to understand yourself. Who am I? What are my gifts? What are my talents? What's in my network? What value do I bring to every table? What can I do? When you encapsulate that, it is also at your target audience, what do they want? So if the target audience is like the presidency, is like, the sheikhs, what do they need? What problem do they have, or what challenge?
Can you give an example in real world which you have used?
Practical.
Yes, practical. More
Practical example, like when I started and when I started reaching out to people, I remember reaching out to Dubai Tourism. This was before COVID, remember? I came in 2019. And at the time, which Dubai Tourism still does, they're always looking to bring in people. They're looking to sell Dubai to the world. They want more people to know about Dubai. And Africa is one of the markets that they're trying to reach. Nigeria is the biggest market, biggest economy in Africa. Now, if I am here and I realize, I think Dubai Tourism, we could do something together. I could be of value to them because I'm Nigerian. I live here. That's an advantage. If you need me or we need to have coffee, I don't need to book a flight. I'm already here. So there's that home advantage. And then I have access to media that they want. That's a tool for them. So the first thing I did was reach out to Dubai Tourism and say, hi, my name is this. I represent this. This is what I can do. I think we can do stuff together. The first time I knocked that door, I think the door got slammed in my face.
Which is usual. Which I very easy.
But again, that was fine because knocking that door that one time, even if it didn't open then, when COVID hit, they came looking for me. Because when COVID hit, all the doors were shut, no one's traveling, but Dubai Tourism needs to continue the work that Dubai Tourism is doing. So I guess maybe somewhere in the office, they were like, wait a minute, there's a girl where's that girl that called us and said she's from Nigeria, she lives here? It's like, I think we need her now. And then they came looking for me. And that's how our, relationship started. They saw that obviously they couldn't bring influencers, they couldn't bring journalists, they couldn't bring anybody. Everyone shut down. But I'm here. I can tell the stories that need to be told. And so that's how they started supporting me in my work. They gave me access like never before. And of course, that just brought my game to another level. And that's one of the key examples of understanding your value, understanding what your target audience wants, and how your value ties in with that.
I understood the concept completely, and that's what matters. I think it's not just about personal branding. It is true in the business as well that you need to bring value for the people, even if it is a user or a customer or a follower. That's true in your case as well when it comes to journalism or branding. If we were to have given an example in some other sense, any other personal branding example, could you use that as well other than you?
Okay, other than myself,
Yeah.
I think myself is the best inspiration I can use and the most authentic, at least the one that comes to mind. However, let me flip the script. Oftentimes when people think about personal branding, they're always thinking about visibility.
Yeah.
They're always thinking about let people know me, what I've done. And that's all well and good. Because in the world where we live in, I always tell people, if in your local community, maybe your group, you bring all your friends together, no matter how popular you are, maybe you have 5,000 friends, right? But if you really want to do business and you want to grow, you need more than 5,000, right?
Correct.
Because if they all buy from you the first time, to say, okay, hey, my friend just launched a business, let me support my friend. Maybe they don't buy every time. What happens when they've all bought? Does that business shut down because you already served your 5,000 friends? You need more people. And remember, those more people are actually strangers.
Actually, the customers, well, I don't know whether this was something imbibed by me as Dhangad's founder, that I never sold to my people, relatives, friends. Till date also, hardly, I would say, even out of so many customers, it will not be 0.0001% which is related to me in any sense. Even not in my I used to be in bank, so I have lots of connections in the bank, but hardly I have used them. Normally it's the opposite way around. You try to build on the same thing, I would say okay, you build, but somewhere I had in that mind that no, I don't want to use this. Even when I hire people in this business development role or the sales role, if they tell me no, I have my brother here, my sister here, I tell them forget them. If you bring first one or two customers from these community of yours, you're stuck. Actually, sales happen outside your comfort, outside this, which network you build. Then you go back to them and they buy is a different thing. That's a cherry on the cake. But actually, I can.
So you get the concept, right? But to reach your customers that you're trying to reach, remember initially they're strangers. Every customer that is not yet a customer is actually a stranger. So it is when this customer comes to your house, like I say, what is your house? Maybe your website is your house. Maybe your Instagram account is your digital house. Because when you want to find out about someone new, what is the first thing you do?
Search on web.
Google, right? Oftentimes, you just put their name and that gives you a bunch of stuff. And now you're doing your search. What will I find when I search your name on Google? So that's actually your global introduction. Oftentimes, when people hear about you or when you just make a call to say, hi, you don't know me, but I would like us to meet for XYZ. The next thing I'm probably doing is, put their name on. Are they worth my time? Do I really want to meet them? Who is this person? I go searching. If I find their Instagram, I go on Instagram. I look at their page. What are they about? Do I really want to associate myself with this person? I check their TikTok. I check LinkedIn. I check or anywhere I can find something about them. So you can do that as an individual or you can do that as a business. If you're a business and maybe you do high ticket products or services, if you're charging, I don't know, $10,000 per service or something, $10,000. If I look you up, I better see something interesting. Maybe your website looks really good. Or they're businesses that are not very visible on social media because they're for the elite. If I call my elite friend who's got a private jet to say, hey, do you know about these guys? He better have something good to say. That is your personal brand. That's your business identity. It is you trying to bridge a gap. You've got a business, you've got people you want to reach. They're at first strangers. When they hear about you, when you introduce yourself, when they look you up, what is that impression that they get?
I'll discuss more on the personal branding further process which you followed, but before that I have a question. And as I said, these questions are coming from my heart and mind. When you say personal branding, as a founder of Dungard, oftentimes business is always on my mind. And it's with every founder, I'm no exception. When we are creating our personal brand, somewhere in the back of my mind is about selling my product. So, what do you think as a founder? Is it correct to always portray myself related to my service, or should I have my own personal identity?
You and your business are two different entities. Think about it that way. Today, you're probably very hands-on in your business. But tomorrow, you could be just private jet in the world and enjoying your nice pina colada whilst other people are running the business. This is an example I always share with business-minded people. Think of even Mark Zuckerberg. He's got Meta. Meta has his own brand, but Mark has got his own brand as well, right? He's got, you see what he's doing on Instagram. Nowadays, he's really flipping the script. He's changing his outfit. He's doing some cool videos on Instagram or that he's posting. He's showing up in different ways. Once upon a time, he was a t-shirt guy.
Yeah.
You remember the t-shirt?
Yeah. The grey t-shirt always same.
I mean, think of Nas Daily. Nas Daily as well. You see him with the black t-shirt and pants all the time. You need to have your own separate identity because listen, businesses rise and fall. This business is here today and hopefully stays here for 500 years or for as long as you want. But businesses come and go. What if tomorrow people don't need this anymore? I need to pivot into something else. Does all of this die? Do we just forget that it ever existed? So your business is one entity, you are another entity. I'll give you a practical example. Once upon a time, and this was like maybe 2 years ago, I was approached by a businessman who owns an ed tech company. He's based or was based here because now he's moved. And at the time, he probably had unreported the biggest ed tech company in Africa. The company was known, he wasn't. Now he had gotten to a point where he needed to start tapping into major investment. And he reached out to me and said, I need to meet you. And he said, listen, I'm trying to do this, but apparently the people I'm talking to, when they look me up, they find nothing. They see the business, but they don't know anything about me. Remember that you invest in people. You don't necessarily invest in businesses. You invest in the person. And so these companies were looking to invest in a person. Because if they trust you, if they see the value that you bring, they see your tenacity, then they feel like anything this guy does, I'm going to put my money in it. But he didn't have any footprint, no digital footprint, no presence. And so he was at a point where he was like, I need to build my personal brand. So I tell people, don't wait till you get to that point.
I'll recorrect my question.
Please.
I am totally in favor of creating brand as a founder. So that I'm convinced and that working around. But what is my question, again to rephrase it, that whether I should build a brand related to my own services, own a business, or it could be anything random. And if it is random, if it is chosen random, why? That's my question.
So depends on the kind of business. Some people are the business as well, especially when it's very personal. So for instance, I'm a speaker. If that was all that I did, I am the brand and I am the business at the same time. You can't really separate those two entities. For a business like yours, you run centers and you can distinguish between those two. So essentially, it depends on the type of business that you're and how big your business is. If you're the top to bottom of your business, you're the CEO, you're the cashier, you're the secretary, you are still the business. It's going to be very difficult to separate because there's no entity to separate.
Correct.
But the bigger your business becomes, then you can begin to have a different identity for the business and a different identity for yourself, even if it's the same business. So I use an example for a speaker. So imagine that now my speaker business and my speaker career has really grown. I coach people, remember, but my coaching is still me. I'm the one who's still running the coaching. I could have a virtual assistant or an executive assistant who's booking my calls, booking my meetings, or just an accountant who's doing my paperwork. But as the business grows, say for instance, now I have 500 clients that I need to, perhaps I'm not going to serve all 500. So now I'm going to have some extra coaches working with me. Now my business has to become bigger. I am no longer just a business. There's structure. So as your business grows away from just your person, you need to begin to separate those entities. So you don't just wake up and say, yeah, this is my business and this is me. If you are still the business, then you are also the brand.
Correct. I got my answer, but I'll take more free advice here. It is on the scale of the business depends. Let's take the example of Dhanwad, which you mentioned as well. We have business setup, banking, taxation, co-working spaces. So these are different businesses. If I have to choose a path to create my brand, which we are doing, what do you think should come out from my side?
Everything. You're not one thing. So never put yourself in a box. I tell people humans are not robots. So again, going back to where I started, who you are, what you have. What you have could be multiple things. I've just told you I wear many hats. You can see me on stage today, speaking, moderating, emceeing. You could see me coaching people who are speakers, who want to do better in public speaking, or coaching someone who wants to build their brand. Or I could take on a company who wants to do PR in Africa, which I do, by the way, right? So I'd have companies here in UAE to say, we need to go to Africa, we need to go to Nigeria, just like Dubai Tourism wanted more in Nigeria. I'm here. So they trust me, they see me, I've got the expertise, I've got the connections, I can make that happen. So it is looking at who am I? What am I trying to accomplish? Who am I speaking to? What do they want? And how you're going to serve. So sometimes there's no one size fit all, depending on what you want to accomplish. So if you're building your personal brand, what you're thinking about is a lot of thought leadership.
Yes.
You could speak about different, all those different things, but it is defining who do you want to talk to and what are you trying to achieve. If you just want to, you feel like, what, I need to build my brand to attract investors, then how you speak will be different. You're not going to say, I'm going to talk about like banking only and I leave my business center. No.
Nice.
You talk about people because you're working with people as well.
Correct.
You talk about leadership. You talk about HR even, hiring and firing. How do you spot great talent? You talk about that. You talk about balancing home and business. You talk about leadership at home, how it impacts your business. So do you see that there's no one size, it depends on your strategy. So you could be working with a consultant, you could be working with someone like me, and we decide to say, okay, this is who we are, this is what we have, this is what we're trying to accomplish in this season, because it could change. Today,
as per the scale is well,
it evolves just as we do. Your brand evolves as you do or as your business does.
Correct. I think I fairly got the answer here. As Dangard founder, a lot of people believe that I'm an ex-banker, so I know more about banking or then business setup or taxation because of the experience which I've come. But very few people know that I'm much better
Much more than that.
on tech, on automations, on digitizations. So of course I'll try in future to create something related to that, how I'm doing that and creating. And lately I realized, because a lot of founders, I think, first are creating brand, not understanding what value they are giving, just like you mentioned, and what is your audience. Lately I've realized all the people who are looking at my content, or they're actually business owners as well. So now maybe it's the time to create a content where I tell them how to scale and all those things. But anyways, thank you so much for giving that piece of advice for free. Now coming on to the business identity aspect, it's very, very clear to a lot of businesses now, founders now, that how important is personal branding, and they are just starting to go on that path. Few have already gone little far, but mostly are starting on that part. But when it comes to business identity, I still see there is a lot of confusion related to that, that they don't understand, or we, including me, we don't understand how do we separate them. What is the differentiation? Sometimes on the business pages or on the business identity, you are doing the same thing. And then again, on the personal, you are doing business as well. So how do we differentiate that and take that in long term?
So again, I'm going to refer you to what I said about as your business grows, as you put in structure, things begin to change. The mistake that some people make is maybe because they're known, right? Because they're the face of the business. When they start to build their business identity, they continue to impose their person into the business. So if you want to separate personal from business, I don't want to see just your face on the business. Like on the business page, for instance.
Okay. So you mean to say there should not be any content, or you mean
there can be content? Like you could appear on that page. You're still title. You're still the face of the brand. But your business identity should not be just about your face. So the question is, if, for instance, anything happens and you die today, what happens to the business? Does it die?
If it is, then it's not a business.
Then it's not a business. So think that way and begin to build. When you talk about business identity, you're talking about culture, the experience. I don't need to know you to do business with you, to do business with Dangard. So who is Dangard? What is Dangard? What experience am I going to get with Dangard? What kind of service do I get? For the people working here, what kind of culture do they have? What is
Dangard? Should have its own.
It's an entity.
A living person.
100%.
With more than 60 to 70 people heart.
Exactly. So it's the culture, that you create as an organization. It is the experience that other people have of you. And even for those within, is the experience. I'll give you a good example. I remember back in Lagos when I first went to Google's office in Lagos. I went in there and this was an office very different from any I'd seen. Typically, offices are very stiff, very corporate culture, tables and chairs and lights, yes. But when I went to this Google office, you had couches, you had colorful pillows, you had a kitchenette, you want coffee, you want cookie, very chill, very relaxed. People didn't need to sit in the office. They could sit on the couch. That, they didn't tell me. I saw it. I experienced it. If I was given an opportunity to say, do you want to switch from your desk and chair in your office to this? 100%. It was what they were wearing, how cool they looked, the language that they use, the kind of, maybe we do, Pizza Fridays in our office. Those things, that's what creates the culture.
Got it. So this is, you mentioned that you really experienced it physically, you went there. When it comes to digital, again, the lines blur there. Physically, you are not able to change much of the things. If you're not changing it, offices might be same old traditional conventional thing. How do you distinct in the digital world your business and personal identity?
There's no difference. You think that because we're building blocks, bricks and wood, as opposed to building websites and coding, they're no different. We're still building. Your color palettes, the kind of content you create, the functionality of your site, how fast your service is. When I get there, I need a problem solved. Do I have to talk to a chatbot for 20 minutes before somebody fixes my issue? It's the same. You're still building, only that rather than building something physical, you're now building something digital. And that experience you talk about can also happen online. So if we're talking digitally, it's the same thing. How functional is your app? What is the experience on your app? I don't want to, I almost mentioned my bank's name, but again, they have to call me, especially if they want me to mention their, but they recently upgraded and updated their app and the experience is just much better. The look and feel is so much better. How quickly I find things, how I'm like, whoa, this is so good compared to the others. Listen, maybe I'd be going to my app a lot more and spending money now than I did before because now it's just so easy. Perhaps it's your customer care, whatever strategy you go with, how fast do I get my problem solved? So all of these things are part of the experience that you create digitally.
But the business identity also requires to be tied up with the individual, or it has to be
Not
combined.
necessarily. Look at Virgin. Right? Virgin has its own identity. And yet people will say, oh, it's the logo. It's not just that. It's a whole lot. There's so much that's mixed up in building a business identity. Again, you see those things I said, culture, experience, all of that. The look and feel, it's not only in physical, it's also in digital. You can recreate all of that. But Richard Branson also is his own person, has his own brand, has his own identity. Do you follow Virgin just because of Richard Branson? Not necessarily. You know he's the founder, you know he's there. But if Virgin isn't delivering the promise for your money, you're going to quit. If you're my best friend and I come to your business because I know you, if your business continues to fail me and not give me value for money, one day I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to talk to another friend. Hey, don't tell him, but I need to do. But I thought you were his friend. Yeah, I know, but just do business with me. That's what's going to happen. So there's the person, there's the founder, and there is the business. And the bigger you get, the more work you need to do on both ends.
Correct. When it comes to content for business, in that landscape, how we can create the differentiation as well? Like mostly again, this is all about services, experiences, which will create the business identity. But in terms of content, how can we create that?
I think that's a very simple question. Content for the person, that's the person. If you're if you want to create content, you're building your brand, people want to hear you speak. What are your thoughts on the different things that you know about? So it's personal. If it's a business, there's so many ways to go about it. It could be customer experience. That's why content is so vast now. People have moved away from the traditional adverts because before, oftentimes for business, they just think adverts or stills, graphics, photos, and things like that. But it's gone beyond that. You've got businesses that are creating even content series from even life at work, where your staff are creating some kind of series that is tied to the business. So it has entertainment value, but it's also promoting the business. There's a full spectrum. So I suppose if a founder needs help or a business needs help, probably should talk to the experts.
Got it. So, but in that lines again, if you can give some wrong pointers which founders follow or the businesses follow in creating business identity, they're just creating that series which you mentioned or normal video they're creating just for the sake of getting business, one, or maybe getting more views or maybe getting more followers, but not for the identity of the business. Could you rephrase that? When I say business, as you mentioned, that businesses should do this to create their own identity. But on contrary, they are just creating those videos, web series, or whatever ads. They're just creating that to get viral, to get views, to get comments, followers, but not actually creating
an identity.
Identity.
Again, it's their strategy. Remember that at the end of the day, one of the key things that all of this we're talking about should do is serve your business purpose. If it's an individual, serve your individual purpose. So your individual purpose could be different. It could be, I want to build a name. It could be, I want to make more money. It could be anything. So go back to what are they trying to accomplish? Maybe for that business, it's just all about, listen, we need footfall. We need to make money. Forget much work about identity. Perhaps. So, or perhaps they don't know yet to say, building an identity actually feeds into our business as well. We care more about your money, right? We care about you as well. We care about how you feel when you come walk through the doors. Don't give us money, no worries. We'll still give you coffee. We'll still treat you nice. True. So again, it's about where the business is at. What are they trying to accomplish? What do they know? There's a popular saying that when you know better, you do better. Companies that know better are not only trying to just directly take money and get money into their pockets, but they're also creating that experience. And to be honest, things are shifting, especially with like the Gen Z generation going forward. It's not just about take my money. Now you've got people who are more environment conscious. So before they put their money down, it's like, how much carbon footprint does your business have? I don't want to spend my money if you're promoting this agenda that is not. Have you heard this conversation?
Yeah,
this is what's happening now. So
sustainable.
It's like, what does my business have to do with the agenda I promoted? Or maybe you went to sponsor some political party that they don't agree with.
Yes.
You're cancelled.
This is very common. I have heard a lot about.
So you see, it's like this business supported this agenda, this movement. As I would say, I'm going to support your business because you did that. Or no more. My money doesn't belong to you. Am I doing great business? Yes. So now business is more than just give me your money.
Correct. Absolutely bang on, because lately, especially in last 3 to 4 years, not just sustainably, I would say politically, I would say
socially.
So there are a lot of reasons behind that, but mainly it's sustainable, which is very common, that it's more of sensible buying which a consumer is doing. Now, because we have mentioned about the series which businesses are creating, I want to know about the storytelling aspect for business identities. How storytelling helps business connect more with consumers. Even if we have to take example of Dangad, how could we do and what's the right way of doing it?
People do business with people. Fundamental principle. People do business with people, and the best storytellers are still human beings. Yes, I know AI is doing a good job on everything, but ultimately, human connection will always be important, will always be vital to life. And business is a part of life. So if storytelling is a part of life, storytelling better be a part of your business as well. One thing it does is that connection, emotional connection. You want to tap into people's emotions. Why would someone say, you know what? I would still stick with this business, even if someone is offering me cheaper. Why? I've done it a bunch of times.
Is the relation?
Right? It is the connection. I'll tell you, the business I buy my eggs from. So I try to buy organic eggs and they're just stupidly expensive compared to regular eggs. The day my husband asked me and said, how much are you buying these eggs? And I told him, I was like, what? But the person I bought the eggs from told me how they're very, it's, again, founder-led business, how they're very passionate, how they do it themselves, and so I felt that connection. Matter of fact, I invited him. I said, you know what? I'd like to have you, join me maybe on a podcast or on a webinar. Let's talk about this, because I could feel their heart and their passion. And that's why I keep, supporting that business. Do I sometimes think, listen, I think this is just too expensive. Each time I order milk, delivery fee is like, 20, 30 dirhams. That's not the price of the milk. That's just the price of the delivery. But still, I keep texting. And let me tell you one thing that they did that really just endeared me to them. The first time I ordered, typically when they send you a link, pay with this link and we'll process your order. I hadn't paid yet. Busy, just forgot. And then they made the delivery. I hadn't paid. I don't know this person. They're in Alain or Fujera or something. And that just made me feel like, wow, you did that? Wow. So you see, for me, it is that how they gave me that trust. Could that have gone sideways? Maybe somebody would have ended up not paying for 2 weeks, but not in my case. I felt a connection because they still delivered the product, even having not received the payment.
Well, I learned this. I really admire that I worked in a reputed bank. And I always say that I started my company after leaving the bank, but whatever I have gained, knowledge, wealth, and everything around my life, it's from bank. And the same thing, we were having always trainings related to how you have to connect with the clients who are coming to the bank and how do you present that level of customer service. Everything was, and we used to call this going extra mile. I think that's what that guy or the company also did. So that matters a lot.
It worked.
It really works. Customers are really looking how do you get to that extra mile thing. So thank you so much for mentioning that point, Mayowa. I think we have discussed a lot of things and it was a personal learning for me in personal and business branding. And that's what we were about to discuss today. And I think we were able to cover all those things. Now the point is about rapid fire to chill you down. You have really given stressed out here. Our podcast, as I mentioned to you before starting, that it's not that chilling level. I understand
Such a chat.
yeah, it's not that level. I've tried many times, but it's more of a learning aspect. This is what value we want to give to our audience as well. We don't want views. We want, even if it is one view, it should be worth listening this whole 45 minutes conversation. So it was worth for me. I'm sure for everyone else as well. Ready for the rapid fire?
I don't know, but let's go.
So if your brand had a theme song, what would it be? And would you dance to it publicly?
Maybe. So this is not a question I've thought about before, but the song that just popped into my head is, I don't even know the lyrics and I don't know the full song. So I hope it's the kind of song that I approve on a regular day. I'm not afraid to take a chance. Everybody come. I don't know. That's all I remember, but that sounded like.
But it was very nice. If you're stuck in a lift with an important client and no internet, do you talk about your story or your business first?
No, I'm going to learn something from them. I'm going to connect with them. I don't have to sell to the people. That's the problem. Everyone wants to sell. These people get sold to all the time. Never, don't do that. connect with them. And that could mean, I can't tell you how I would connect with that person right now because I'm not in that room, but it is to connect with them, really see the person, not just their bank account or the kind of opportunities they'll give you.
What's the funniest or strangest message you have ever received after an event?
Funniest, strangest, can't think of any. I typically just receive commendations, well done, that was brilliant. So yeah.
Even I have never received so well. If your personal brand could talk, what it would complain about the most? If your personal brand could talk, what will be the complaint which it will have the most?
Complain about who or what?
Anything. If you as a brand talk, as a personal brand, what would you complain about? It's basically your complaints because it's your brand.
Yeah. I think not enough people are taking their personal brand serious.
That's business as well.
Listen, my strategy is it's got to make sense in the bank account.
What's one branding word people use too much that you wish should go away?
I can't think of any.
What's your lazy content trick that still looks like worked hard on it?
None.
Most of the things are lazy.
For me, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, what's a content trick
Yes.
that is lazy but
But it
looks
looks
like
very hard.
looks very hard?
That you really worked hard on it, but it was so easy.
I don't know. I get people to do stuff for me. I don't make my own videos. I get people to make my videos. So I don't know if that looks. I don't. So it depends on if people think that I did that, but I always put credit. I don't have time to start editing and no.
Okay. What helps the most with content? Voice notes, Canva, random 3 a.m. ideas.
With content ideas.
Proper content idea. Voice notes, Canva, or any random.
My notes.
Your notes.
So I've got a note on my phone. It's called content ideas. So whether it's the 3 a.m. weird idea or I'm having a conversation like this and something pops in my head, I'm just going to put that down for a later date. So yeah.
Even I do that. Okay, finish this sentence. Personal branding is like dating because.
You can't really tell where it's going to head, but you do know that if you give it your best shot, something good might come out of it.
Nice. Thank you so much once again, Mayowa, for taking out time. I'll be learning a lot after the podcast, just like before the podcast, and keep connecting with you. Thank you so much
Thank you for having me.